We'd like to welcome you to the 2018-2019 Club 1 volleyball season. My name is Bree Isaacson, and I'm the club director.
And my name's Bridget Hack, and I'm the business manager.
And essentially what we decided to do like almost 10 years ago was, we know it's difficult for our families to get to a parent meeting. We know there's so many things going on with our athletes being in season or having siblings that are in season. So essentially what we do is we put this video together. We try to answer all the possible questions and discuss anything that we would have done in the actual meeting. And then what we do at the end, which Bridget will discuss a little bit, is we have a drop-off. And at that time, if you have questions, certainly you could always email us, but if you have questions about the program, you can ask at the parent drop-off as well. But the intent of this online video is just to allow you to watch it and learn about our program at a time that works for you, and gather as much information as you can. So if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I'm going to go over my part first, and then Bridget's going to kind of cover the financial portion of it, and then we'll let you know how the tryout goes and what happens after that. So the first thing that I just want to touch on is that all memberships need to be completed, the USAV membership, and all paperwork needs to be submitted prior to the first practice. So some USAV memberships won't expire by the first practice, but unfortunately for us, we are not allowed to place athletes on rosters with a 2017-2018 registration. So tournaments require them as we're registering for tournaments right after tryouts, and USA Volleyball requires them. So we simply ask that prior to the first practice, which will be the week of September 24th, that all USAV memberships are current and that all paperwork is in. And Bridget will be reaching out to you via email if you are missing anything long before the practices start. She will also send one final email as we get close. But just know it's our expectation that all of that is taken care of prior to the start of the first practice. And then Bridget will be there checking everybody in. And if there is anything missing, she'll let you know at that time. Practices, like I mentioned, they begin the week of September 24th. The practice days for the boys are Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. Now, until the boys start playing, it will be every Sunday. Once the boys start playing and the tournament schedule has begun, it's only when they don't play on a Sunday. So if your son has a tournament on Sundays, they just get the 2 practices during the week on Monday, Wednesday. If they're off on Sunday, then they would pick up their Sunday practice. Couple things. Oh, also location. We will use the Club 1 Volleyball Center where the boys will be trying out, or the boys did try out. And then we will also use the Plainfield Community Church, the same church we used a year ago. Once we get through the tryout, an exact schedule will come out with times and locations. But we just want to let everybody know that it could be at 1 or 2 of those places. And if you're new to Club 1, please know that the church is less than a mile from Club 1. So depending on which way you're coming, it doesn't add but 2 or 3 more minutes of time. Unless you hit the train. Dear God.
You will hit the train. You'll hit it.
Going back and forth to the 2 locations, I had no idea how many trains come through that place. So, but yeah. It's really close. You can actually almost see it from the Club 1 facility. So, a couple things to go over with practices. We do ask that our athletes arrive 15 minutes before the practice starts. This allows them to get their stuff on, go to the bathroom, do anything else that they need to do, so that they're ready to go. The doors will certainly be open about 30 minutes before a practice begins. So we just ask 15 minutes, especially in the winter months where they come in and it's wet outside and they need to change their shoes and things like that. We just want to make sure, we get 2 hours of practice and some conditioning. We just want to make sure that we maximize that time. We get the most out of it when they're there. If they are going to be late or absent for whatever reason, we do ask that they contact their coach directly and let them know. We set up practices around who we think is going to be at practice, and if all of a sudden somebody's not there and we didn't know, it may not be the best use of our time. At the beginning, you don't have a coach, so you can certainly reach out to Bridget, myself, or actually Corey Sackett, who will be helping a little bit more with the boys program this year. And then once your son is placed onto a team, he can reach out to that coach directly and let them know either via email or text, whatever that coach prefers. We do have a policy at Club 1, and that's that we allow for 3 excused absences. And you know what? We've essentially asked our families that in those 3, and we've talked about this before, we've said, hey, these can be for anything. And while we will still honor that and say that they can be for anything, we do realize that this season is long. The season goes from the last week of September until, mid to late February. And we know that finals come through at that time. We know that kids get sick at that time. So we ask that you try to use those for school, before finals, for illness or anything like that. I mean, certainly if you have something with family and you use a day, you're entitled to do that. But with only 3 excused missed practices, we just know that hopefully they can use them for something that's related, schoolwork or something like that. And then if they exceed 3 absences, then we do allow them to try to make them up. It's a little difficult in our boys program because we all kind of practice at the same time. But if someone is excessively missing practice, that can affect their playtime. The coaches will let them know. It certainly won't be a surprise. But if someone isn't ever really there and there's no reason, we just don't feel that it's right for them to be getting playtime in matches as well. The definite exception to this is multiple sport athletes. We are proud that our athletes at Club One, both boys and girls, many of them are a part of multiple things. That doesn't happen quite as much anymore, so we take great pride in that. So if your son plays golf, football, basketball, those are some that have played for us in the past, for their school teams, we know that a high school sport does in fact come first. I should also say soccer. We have a soccer person as well. All we ask is that you provide the practice and the game schedule to the coach as soon as it's available to you, and that there's just good communication about, hey, my son's going to be late, hey, we're going to come early and then leave, whatever the case is. We've done this for 10 years, and it's never been a problem as long as there's really, really good communication between the athlete and the coach. So as soon as that information becomes available, please pass that along to the coach. And again, if you don't have a coach yet, Bridget and I would be more than happy to take it and pass it along once teams are made. In terms of practice attire, when the season begins, practice shirts might not be ready just yet. If you are a returning Club One volleyball player, any Club One t-shirt will do. If you're new to Club One, any athletic t-shirt will do. Once the Club One practice t-shirts come in, it is the expectation that those are worn for all practices. Athletic shorts, knee pads if preferred, and then volleyball shoes while we're in practice. One thing that's important to mention also is that at the beginning of the season, team placements are not made. So when the boys try out on September 4th, well, and you're watching this, so they've already tried out. When they try out on September 4th, they are just making the program, and then we'll get back into the gym the week of September 24th, and we'll start evaluating them as we have multiple teams in each age division. So, someone could have a really good tryout, someone could have a really bad tryout, with normally how they do, and we don't base team placement simply on 1, 2.5, 3 hour tryout. We come back in the gym, we take approximately 2 weeks, and then we place them from there. So then your team placements will get made. It will go up on our website with rosters. You'll have the tournament schedule, and you'll be able to associate your son and his team to the schedule. While many of the tournaments are similar, there are some times that one team is at one location, another team is somewhere else. So you'll know that exact schedule once your son is placed on a team. As I move forward, a couple things with tournaments. Everybody always asks us about tournaments. Believe it or not, we have the majority of the tournament schedule done. We play in the Payless Point Series. We always have the majority of the boys teams in our area do as well. That would be on your schedule. You will have the Chicago qualifier on your schedule. You will have the St. Louis tournament, which I'll touch on in travel in just a couple minutes. You will have that on your schedule. And then you'll have some single day events, maybe at Lewis, maybe at Sink and Schaumburg. And basically you will play on average 2 times per month. We do our best to spread it out. Sometimes tournaments just aren't offered that way and we have to be creative in the schedule. But most of the time, it's 2 times per month, and those are kind of the big tournaments. If you've been a part of Club One, you know what those are. Those are kind of the big tournaments on your schedule. Couple things to note, especially for our new families. If you play at 8 o'clock, in the morning, you're always going to be there at 7. If you ref at 8 o'clock, you're going to be there at 7:15. Your coach will communicate it to you, but just so you have kind of a general idea of when it would be expected that you would be there, especially if your son's sick the day before a tournament or something like that. Some tournaments are half day, like Payless Point Series. Some are full day. Payless Point Series is always run on a Saturday and a Sunday. And then like Lewis or Sink is a single day event where there's pool play, quarter, semifinal. Those are kind of the long ones, but just so you have a general idea of that. All athletes must stay at the tournament until all officiating duties are complete, as well as playing. So in club volleyball, we have officiating duties as well. Everyone does across the board. No one is allowed to leave until everyone is done officiating. And then the last thing that I want to, I got two more things to touch on. Number one, to be respectful of the host site's food policy. Bridget and I talk about this every year. There is not a single place we go to where they allowed outside food. They don't, it's simply a way for them to bring in revenue for opening the doors and the facility costs and all those things. So if you have a specific allergy, most places are pretty good about working with us. We can send an email, you can send an email. Sometimes they give you a lanyard, whatever the case is. But if you don't have anything, any allergies, any gluten things that need to be addressed, then just please know you're not allowed to bring in outside food. If you're caught, that you can be removed from the facility. If you eat out in your car or in the parking lot, that's totally fine, just not inside the facility. And the last thing that I just want to talk about as far as the tournament goes is that tournament host sites don't put out tournament schedules until the Wednesday before the event. So Payless Point Series is an ongoing tournament, so a lot of times that's out early in advance. But a single day tournament like Sink or Lewis, or even the first round of Payless Point Series that's going to come out, it may not come out until Wednesday night. And the reason, and so you know you play Saturday, Sunday. You just don't necessarily know the times yet. And the reason that they do that is because there's too many adds and drops. And so they try to wait till the last second to make sure everybody's still in and they put it out. You will find that they will still wait till Wednesday and there will still be 3 revisions after that. But they try to minimize it. So once we get the schedule, we will immediately send it to you and to your coaches. But please just understand, we're not ever going to sit on the information, or as soon as it comes across, Bridget and I are firing it out to everybody. But just know that there can also be revisions, and we would communicate that as well. The next thing I'd like to talk about is playtime. You know, this is always a funny one. We've gone over this for years. Certainly, we want to make sure that everyone in our program gets an opportunity to contribute in match play. But at this level and at the club level, certainly the amount of playtime an athlete gets is dependent upon effort and performance in practice and effort and performance in matches. It's also relative to the position that your son plays. So some people are going to play 3 rotations. Some people are going to play 6. We can't control getting stuck in a rotation. We can't control either going on a long run of points or being on the receiving end of a long run of points. And so sometimes we get stuck in rotations and people don't get in quite as much in that particular set or in that particular match. But it is always our goal to get our athletes in. But how much they play and how long they play is determined by their performance and their effort, and certainly what's happening in the match. I do want to just throw this out. Our top teams, which we call our red teams, we do not guarantee playtime on our top teams. We do believe that we do a good job of getting our athletes in, and everyone is important on the team, and so coaches know that, and they work hard, you know, to come up with different lineups to do that. But it is possible in a match or in a tournament, someone on a top team could receive less playtime, and we just want to throw that out so that our families are aware of that. But certainly people who are working hard, coming every day, giving great effort, performing, they're going to get opportunities on the floor. If for some reason an athlete is unhappy about their playtime, or you as a parent are unhappy about their playtime, you know, we ask first that the athlete discuss directly with the coach. Your son's coach is in the gym with them every single day. So there is nobody that knows better. And sometimes the kids come home and they may tell you something different than what's actually happening. So a great first step is for that athlete to go directly to their coach and ask what they need to do to work on to get more playtime, or maybe position change or anything like that. And then we have to give it a little bit of time to work itself out. Just because we said that these are things that need to be changed doesn't mean that it can be simply changed in one practice. If after an adequate amount of time there still seems to be an issue, then we can kind of all sit down together. We feel really confident that most problems we've ever had have been solved with good communication. We can sit down, the coach, the athlete, you and myself or Bridget, to discuss and sort of form a plan moving forward. If something happens at a tournament or I guess even at a practice that's upsetting to you as a parent or upsetting to your child, we do enforce a 24-hour rule. And I will tell you this. I have 4 kids. Bridget has 4 kids. Our kids are all involved in athletics. My son has gone on to college in athletics. And sometimes there are things that happen and we just simply don't understand why. And when our kids are upset, it's very natural for us as parents to be upset as well. But the one thing that I've learned is when something is that upsetting to you that you need to talk to the coach on the spot, that typically nothing good comes from it. And once it's said, it can't be taken back. So what we enforce is the 24-hour rule. If there is a problem on your son's team, we ask that you wait 24 hours to reach out to the coach to set up the meeting. Once the 24 hours has gone, send an email and we can sit down and talk reasonably with each other. And that's always worked for us. You know, we've never had any problems. Our problems have come when things have been said and done, you know, right away in the heat of the moment, and then it's hard to find a working relationship after that. So if you can just wait, again, it doesn't happen very often, but if it does, we want to be able to address it, you know, the following day. We do have a parent expectation at Club One that's in our contract. It's also kind of in our handbook that we've had in past years. And essentially, you know, we're just asking for our families to be respectful of the officials, of the other teams, of our team, of our coach, of the other coach, and of the fans in the stand. And I can assure you that I've sat at enough athletic events for my children, and at least one game, one match, one whatever, there is the one person who can't keep it together, right? Or there is that one official that literally does not know what they're doing. And I get it. I've been there before as well. But there isn't anything that we can do to change it. And the officials, we have to have officials to play the games. And there's less and less officials because there's more and more people yelling at them. So I feel really confident. After 20 years of coaching, I feel really confident that one play does not make or break a match. And usually it evens itself out. If an official misses one, they're going to miss one for the other side. But if they don't, we ask that you still remain respectful to the game, to the club, to the other clubs, and to the officials. And if there is something out of the ordinary that happens, all you have to do is reach out to me and I can report something. But we just want to make sure that we're always representing ourselves the right way. And we do have, you know, 4 things that we kind of have in there, and it's just to be respectful of the club coaches and players, to demonstrate good sportsmanship to Club One players as well as other teams, coaches, and officials, to support the development of each player, and that, you know, that you're respectful to everybody involved. So if it got crazy, which we proudly say it has never gotten that crazy, but if it got crazy and a parent got crazy or a kid got crazy, it is grounds for removal from the program. But again, we take great pride in we've never gotten to that point, and we don't anticipate ever getting to that point either. So as I move on in my portion, I'm moving on to the travel section. So the 15s through 18s all do the St. Louis National Qualifier. And actually, I'll look that up, or Bridget can look that weekend up, because it is out there on the USA Volleyball website. It is out there to give you the exact dates. But essentially, here's how it works. Our athletes stay with their families when we travel. As much as we love staying in team rooms and we think it's great bonding, it's a long weekend and we don't want to try to manage making sure kids are in their room, going to bed, phones. We know our families are paying to go on this trip, and we simply just want to have a great performance when we were there. USA Volleyball does dictate where we stay. What I mean by that is we request rooms through USA Volleyball's stay-to-play policy, and they give us a hotel that meets the criteria for us. So if we need 90 rooms and there's 2 hotels, they're going to say, do you want to stay at the Marriott or the Hilton? And then we kind of just pick from there. What will happen is USA Volleyball will send me a link on how to properly register once our rooms are booked, and I will send you a travel letter with all of the details, the tournament weekend, the play times or waves if they are available at that time, the hotel, the address, the phone number, you know, anything that we would possibly need that you would know. And then a step-by-step booking instruction for you to secure the hotel yourself. And you will put your own credit card in, you'll get your own confirmation number. Just make sure you pay close attention to the cancellation policies and things like that, or parking lot charges. Those are not ours. We don't get to pick that. And if you needed to cancel your room and it was beyond the time you could cancel, I don't have the authority to cancel it for you because it goes directly through the hotel. So that travel letter will come out for you guys, and then you will follow the steps from there. In addition to that, our top teams, our red teams, do go to nationals, either in the club or open division, depending on when we qualify or if we qualify. So this year they are in Texas. I'm pretty sure it's in Texas. Now I'm like drawing a blank, but I'm pretty sure it's in Texas. So, and that's always the first week of July. It kind of spans over the 4th. So right now there really is no information. It's so far away, but I just want to put it out to our families that our red teams will be attending the USAV National Championships in July, and more information to come once team selections are made, and then certainly once we get through the qualifiers. Couple last things I have, and then I am going to turn it over to Bridget. People ask us all the time about spirit wear. We do offer a spirit wear store through Nike. We will send that out as soon as we get it, and then you can order what you want, if you want, or you don't have to order anything at all. This will be specifically for fan gear. This is not specific to the boys or their uniform. We do have a recruiting coordinator. Corey, okay, she's close.
I'm in the right spot.
She is in the right spot.
I just can't.
Sort of. So anyways, I'll look that up in just a second when she gets onto her part. So essentially what Corey does, Corey Seckett is our recruiting coordinator, and essentially what he does is he will meet with you, he will form a plan for your son. He will give you tips on how to reach out. We certainly can reach out to colleges after your son has as well. And he can also put together a recruiting video for your son to be emailed out to coaches as well. So we'll send a blast. He will send a blast to all of our families once we kind of get underway. And it's up to you if you want to go to that, or if your son doesn't have any interest at that time. It's certainly not a bad idea to get information now, because we have had kids who were convinced they were going to play and decided not to, or convinced they weren't, and then late in the game realized they wanted to. So it's never a bad thing to, you know, kind of have that. So also I want to just mention that our website does have a lot of up-to-date information. And just check it periodically. It's www.club1volleyball.com. We do have a Facebook page, which is Club One Volleyball. We have an Instagram page, and we don't really know how to tweet. So we're looking for a parent who'd want to take that on, and we don't Snapchat or Vine. I don't know.
I don't even think they have that anymore.
Oh.
I think you're too old. I mean, your children would be embarrassed if you said that.
Okay, well, whatever the next thing is, we don't have that either. So anyways, but we do post, if there was a cancellation because of weather, we would post it, we would blast it out, it would go up on our website. We take great pride in our team's successes. We post that, we post college commitments, anything that kind of comes academic success for our athletes. You know, last year we had 10 AAU academic All-Americans. That was as exciting for us as the 9 athletic All-Americans that we had last year as well. So we were super proud of that. So we post all of that stuff on our website as well. So please be, you know, sure to check that out. And I do have the dates. The boys winter championship, which is just held at McCormick Place, but it is a 3-day tournament, is January 19th through the 21st. And then the Dennis LaFata qualifier, which is in St. Louis, is February 22nd through 24th, and that would end our season. So the teams would go to the qualifier, we would then end there, and then you would go to your high school season, and then our teams returning for nationals would return after the high school season is over. So, and then the last thing that I just have quickly is our parking lot over at Club One, not at the church, but our parking lot is kind of tiny. So I'm probably telling you guys all something you already know. But when you pull in, you know, where the garages are, we have the side parking lot there. And then we certainly have like 15, 10 spots directly in front of Club One. And then we have parking that's available on Coil Plus Drive, which is the street that runs behind. And then we also have the Public Works building, which is across the street. I just want to throw this out. Once you leave our building, and then there's another set of buildings, which is like the Bounce Up was there, and there's a CrossFit there, and a guitar. We are not allowed to park in there. So if for some reason we host a scrimmage and you guys come in or you're dropping, just make sure not to park there because they can tow you and they will come down and yell at us. So please save us.
Yeah.
So
we try to avoid being yelled at as much as possible.
It's not so great. So anyways, that's kind of my part. Again, any questions you have, I just really wanted to break down what to expect from the season, when it starts, when it ends, practices and tournaments, you know, uniform, things like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand it over to Bridget, and she's going to go over the financial piece of it, and then we'll kind of let you know what happens now that you're watching the video.
Okay, so I get the fun part of explaining how all of the financials work, the uniforms, all of those good things. This year, our 14U boys program, the total cost will be $1,125. That will include tuition and your jerseys. The 15 through 18U boys will be a total of $1,800, which includes your tuition, the jerseys, as well as your travel fee to go to the Dennis Lafata in St. Louis. That fee covers your tournament registrations, anything associated with the team, coaches, stipends, etc. Your hotel and your travel down there, food, etc. would be a separate cost. These are team costs. As we have in the past, and what you use to register for the tryout is the system that we use, Sport Engine, for our registrations. So when you go to register, there is a different link that will be provided, which I'll go through, but that link is what you use to register for the actual season. You've already registered for tryouts. You would not go back to the same spot. It would be this link to get your account, if you will, set up. We allow our families, when they register, to either do one of four things. You can choose to make your payment in full, and you could also split your payments into up to 4 payments. When you register, an immediate deposit will be required. So if you're going to pay in full, you would pay for the entire thing upon registration. If you chose any of the payment plans, the payments would be due, let's just say, for example, you did the 4-payment plan, 25% at registration, and then 25% on October 1st, November 1st, and December 1st. So essentially the account would be paid, your last payment would be December 1st. If you pick 2 payments, it'd be upon registration and October 1. 3 payments would be, on registration October and November 1. So we do allow you to split up those costs. Just want to make a mention that if you choose the installment plan, there is a $35 installment fee for payments 2, 3, and 4. So there is not a fee for the first payment, but on the second, third, and fourth payment, there would be a $35 fee per additional payment. So to keep that in mind, you set up all of your information and will complete most of the paperwork through the system. There will be a couple of pieces that you'll drop off, which I'll explain in just a minute. Uniforms, we are in year 1 of a 2-year cycle on our jerseys. On a 2-year cycle. So for our returning players, those jerseys would be included, and then all you would need to do is order what you need from the package. So if you need new shoes, you would go on, you would order the shoes. If you wanted new warm-up pants or a jacket, whatever it is that you need, you would purchase. If you are a new player, you would go to the site, which I'll explain, and you would have to get all of the pieces included. So next year, and correct me if I'm wrong, you'd be able to use the warm-up again next year. You'd be able to use some of those things again next year. Just so you know, some things exceed a 2-year cycle. So like our warm-up has stayed the same, and we'll keep it the same as long as we can. Yeah. Jerseys, they only put on a 2-year life cycle.
and then they modify them in some way. So the jerseys, it's every 2 years. But for like our family, some of them are wearing the same warm-up if they don't outgrow it for a long time. So...
And it does give you an opportunity to see like the shoes they do. So we are sponsored by Nike. So all of our gear is Nike gear. And they do put together a very nice package for our families. And when you really look at the pricing of like shoes and things like that, they really do a nice job of giving us the best deal that they possibly can. There will be a store that will be available where you will go on and you will order directly through Nike. You pay them, it might be BSN Sports, but it's their site, and you would order the items you need.
And then they will actually ship directly to you.
They will just go right to your house. So if you needed the shoes, you get the shoes. Now, one thing that we have learned, if something is embroidered, you will not be able to exchange it. But let's just say you got a size 12 shoe, you need a 13. As long as you have the original packaging, they obviously haven't been worn. You know, you can't after 3 practices say, I don't like these. They will exchange them for you. You will have to do all of that through them directly because there's not, you know, there's a contact number on their information. But they are pretty good about doing that. We did hear from Nike that we will have samples. Yes. So when we have our drop-off, which is in 2 more things that I'm going to talk about, we will have the samples that evening. So if your son is available, they can come with you that night to try on the samples that we have.
And one thing that's, I think, important just to mention as well, and Bridget may be ready to touch on this, but what happens is everybody's season starts at the same time. We are not the only Nike-sponsored club. So what happens is once we have our tryouts, everybody's jumping on all the inventory. So when Bridget emails out the uniform package, it's about a week or less that you have to quickly order that and pay them, you know, for that order. And sometimes people are like, well, I didn't know it was going to be so quick. If we don't order at that time, the inventory is gone because every other club across the country that is Nike is ordering as well. So just expect that, you know, quickly after we get through tryouts in our parent meeting or on the same day, you are going to get a sheet emailed to you that shows you how to order your package, and it's going to be a week or less for you to get that in, and just kind of be expecting that and just understand why.
And there is a deadline that they give us, and the store will close. So please, please, please pay close attention to the deadline, because usually it closes at midnight on a night, and you'll go in the next morning at like 5 a.m. when you wake up forgetting, you know, realizing you forgot to do it. You will not be able to order, and then you would have to contact us. And the other thing is going with the jerseys. Like, there's things that need to be embroidered and printed, and we have to make sure we get those orders in so that we can get the product before we play. So that's one of the other reasons for the turnaround. We will, because so many people ask if there are ways to offset the costs of the club, we will again be doing our raffle. We have done this from the beginning. It has been very, very successful for people. And the way that it works is we will, at the drop-off, be handing out raffle tickets. You will get a packet of 10 tickets. Each ticket is worth $10, so your packet is $100. You would sell those 10 tickets, which are mandatory for the raffle. Anything over the 10 that you sell would 100% go back to you. So, for example, if you sold 5 packets or 50 tickets, you would receive a $400 credit towards your account. The first 100 going towards the raffle, and then the other first 100 towards the raffle, the other 400 to you. Usually, the raffle is pulled right before the holiday, so right before Christmas break. We then have to file paperwork. We have to finalize it, and there are steps that we have to follow in order to be able to hand out or give credits. So you would then receive a check for $400 for the refund of the raffle that you sold. So your payments will be made. Your account will be paid in full, but you would receive a check for whatever you sold over the initial $100 or 10 tickets. We do realize that people have a lot of stuff going on. I know, like, the first week of school, they're like, oh, can you sell magazines? Can you do this? Candy bars? Like, I got, like, candy bars, all of it. And when you have multiple kids like we do, it's like, I can't go back to that person and ask them again. So we do realize that sometimes people don't want to participate in a raffle. So we do offer an opt-out option. It's $75. You would not have to sell anything. You would not have to do you wouldn't even receive tickets essentially to sell. And that option is in the registration. So as you're going through and it asks you if you'd like to participate, if you choose to opt out, it'll add $75 to your total due, which is the opt-out fee, and you would pay it at registration. If you choose the tickets, you would say, yes, I would like to participate, and then you would just get the tickets when you come to drop off your paperwork. I have had people that have sold a lot of tickets, and at the end of the day, you know, I'm sending them a check for $1,200, and it essentially covers their fees. The great sell for this is that first prize is $10,000. So I'm going to probably invest $10 for my grandson or, niece or nephew for the boys program with a chance to win $10,000. There has in the past been a $2,500 or $1,000 prize for first and second and third. So there's 3 prizes, and sometimes depending there are other small prizes or gift cards and things like that. But on the tickets is all of the information of what you're selling them to. So it's usually a pretty easy sell. So that is one way that you would be able to offset those costs throughout the season. That essentially, as long as I haven't missed anything, is on how all of that works. So the last step in everything, and I promise we're almost done, the last step in everything is how does this work? And that's what everybody wants to know. So we are now either after the tryout, you're either watching this video the night, right away after it's done. But essentially right now when you're on our webpage, what you're looking at is we have a step-by-step registration. And the first step in the registration is to watch this video. I will make a note of it that even if you're a returner, it's always a good idea to watch it because sometimes things change. But the first step is to watch this. We'll then have outlined steps of the things you need to do. The second one would be to register in Sport Engine. Super important. We have to have a registration through the system. It's how we're going to communicate with you. It's how we're going to put you on rosters and all of those things. And then there's going to be some other steps after that. There will be, please print this link and bring it into the drop-off. Please print this medical form to bring into the drop-off, those kinds of things. Once you get through all the steps, the bottom step will be our drop-off. And we are going to have our drop-off on Wednesday, September 5th. So the day after the tryout, it will be at Club 1, and it will be from 5:30 to 7. All the samples will be there as well for the uniforms. So as we mentioned earlier, if your son can come, have them come so that they can try this stuff on. And at that time, we'll collect those few pieces of paperwork. I'll put together a checklist for everybody. If you are going to participate in the raffle, I will have the raffle tickets to give to you. And this is just a way for you to be able to come in and maybe ask any specific questions that you have from the video, maybe something we didn't touch on or something that comes up for you. I will be there to answer, all of those and any questions that you have. So that is the day after. One of the other most important steps of the step-by-step registration is you will need to email me by noon on Wednesday, September 5th, your son's commitment. So after you watch the video, you discuss it as a family. Yes, this is something we want to do. The next thing you should do is, and I'll provide my email, is Bridget, my son so-and-so will be committing to Club 1. It's very important because we do have alternates. If there is a spot that's available and you do not commit by noon the next day, we will go onto our alternate list to make sure that we offer the spot to somebody else who is waiting if they didn't make that first initial cut. So we want to make sure that we have all of our commitments in. So please, 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 I do send a reminder. Sometimes it just gets, you're going to do it, and the day gets away from you and you forget. So I will send a couple reminders just saying the numbers are posted. Please email, and then before we close it down to go to the alternates, because if we don't hear from you, we will assume that you're not committing to the program. If you know you're not committing to the program, even if you just shoot an email and say, you know, thank you so much, we're not, that will give me just a little bit of a jump start to offer it to somebody that is waiting, you know, for a spot. So please read those step-by-steps. We will have, you know, copies, limited copies at the drop-off, but if you have it done, filled out, it goes really, really quick to just get it dropped off and taken care of. Your payments are set up in the system, so that is very, very simple. It will automatically be taken care of for you, so you don't have to worry about any of that. So that's kind of how the checkout process goes and getting the registration process moving. Again, like Bree said, if there's any questions before you commit or anything like that, you could, of course, email us, but I will be there that evening to take any, you know, questions personally. Yeah. And I think that I didn't miss anything, and you didn't miss anything. And
I don't think so. We've been doing this long enough. Hopefully we have it covered. But again, if something else comes up, we take great pride in communication, so we'll be certain to, you know, email everything out. And if you have any questions or think of anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we really look forward to a great season. It doesn't seem like it was all that long ago that it ended, and we're back in it, but we're the most happy when we're in season. So we look forward to a great season and seeing all of our families very soon.
Take care.